Welcome to Organizational Behavior Exam 1 Review. Today we're going to be going over chapters 1 through 4 and 2 quick disclaimers. I'm no management expert, this is just to help us study for the tests. And 2, there are some pretty cringy memes in here, but hopefully they will help me and whoever has found this video to study for the test and get an A. So let's get into it. Chapter 1 is about management. So what is organizational behavior? You can read our textbook definition. I'm going to try to go through these slides pretty fast because we have quite a few, but the simple term is the study of what influences behavior in an organization in order to make positive changes. And the two main roles that our studies are workers and managers. So, of course, you guys know what this is. I thought a good analogy was like in soccer because in England, I guess they actually call like coaches managers. So this is an individual who achieves goals, quite literally, through other people, and then the workers are the ones who accomplish the work of those goals. And the organization would just be the social unit or the group, and it has to be comprised of 2 or more people. So for this example, it would be the club, Manchester City. Yeah, go City! Okay, so systematic study. This is looking at relationships and attempting to draw conclusions about cause and effect. So this is how they actually study organizational behavior. And methodical and procedural are 2 words that kind of came to mind because it's not the kind of study where it's like, it's usually not that subjective. It's more there are procedures that you go through, and systematic, there's a system to it, hence the word. And I put this picture for the justice system. That just reminds me. Okay, so what do we do with this research from the study? What's the whole point of it? The point is evidence-based management, and this is making decisions in management based on evidence. So here we have this manager. She's looking at her computer, probably data, and saying, okay, I'm going to make a rational decision. And then this one is going off either intuition or feelings, which is not necessarily a bad thing all the time, but the goal of researching organizational behavior in systematic study is to make choices based on evidence-based management. That was a lot of key terms, but I think you all got it. Let's go to the next. So what is intuition? We just talked about it. This is an instinctive feeling, not necessarily supported by research. So I have this example here. Sometimes your intuition might tell you that, a friend has a problem, or they're upset, or they're mad, and you can't put your finger on it. You didn't really talk about anything. It's just kind of a gut feeling. That is an example of intuition. And I like this funny meme. I don't believe in intuition, but I have this strange feeling that someday I will. So that's ironic because it's like an intuitive feeling. And I know I'm killing the memes by explaining it, but come on now. It's helping us remember, so let's keep going. Okay, so these are 4 areas of study. The slides aren't going to this is the only one with this much information. That's all I'll say, so stick with me. Psychology is the science that seeks to measure, explain, and sometimes change the behavior of humans and other animals. We got that down. And social psychology is the area that blends psychology with sociology to focus on the influence of people on one another. So like we just talked about, intuition would be something that social psychologists would study. And what is sociology? This is the study of people in relation to their social environment. So it's blending how people relate to their environment and the measurements of human behaviors, sometimes mostly with each other, and that would be social psychology. And then anthropology is the study of societies to learn about human beings. So this is, bigger picture, looking at many people and how those influence, of course, these fields as well. Okay, contingency variables. So these are situational factors or variables that moderate the relationship between 2 or more variables. So an example is the type of leader a team has. That is a situational factor. that would affect, how two employees interact. If there is a controlling boss, they might be a little more professional. Just kind of a funny one to help us remember, contingency variables is, the kind of restaurant you go to on a date. That is literally a situation that factors into how two people interact. So I got no problem with McDonald's, but if you go on a first date to McDonald's and you're playing in the playground, your date might react a certain way, but that's just a contingency variable. And I like to remember this contingency, like something is contingent on. That means that one thing affects another, so these variables will affect people. So ethical dilemma. This is situations in which individuals are required to define right and wrong conduct. I like that meme. It's pretty simple. Let's go on. Corporate social responsibility. So this is an organization's self-regulated actions to benefit society. So this could be like donating to charity or having programs like Starbucks, for example. I think they pay for your whole college if you are full-time. Maybe double check that info before applying, but they're known for corporate social responsibility. And yeah, you got your meme. I won't kill it. I'll let you read it. So unethical behavior. Any actions that violate widely accepted social norms. So this organization is as misaligned as my spine. I love The Simpsons. There's going to be quite a few Simpson memes. Speaking of, positive organizational scholarship. So this is an area of OB research that studies how organizations develop human strengths, foster vitality, build resilience, and unlock potential. So this is basically studying how organizations improve, which, of course, as we said, is an area of organizational behavior. And this is so funny. Improvement ideas. Great. Just leave them on the floor on your way out. This is, I guess, joking that management doesn't actually want to make changes, which a good manager will want to, most likely, at least listen to the ideas. Okay, so the 4 functions of management. This is key to know. Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. I actually didn't make Polk. Yeah, I guess Polk is how we'll remember it. But planning is defining goals, strategy, and let's stick with that soccer analogy. That would be having a formation, so maybe you play 4-4-2, or having a strategy, like we're going high press. This is the plan that the coach develops. Organizing, so this is determining what tasks are to be done and by whom. So this would be like, here's your starting lineup, Ronaldo, you're going up top, of course. Like, basically setting the plan into motion through organization. And then leading is motivating and directing. So sometimes, in the locker room at halftime, even if people are playing well, you gotta keep the spirits high. Say, talk about work rate. That would be an example of leading. And then controlling is monitoring activities to make sure the work is being done right. So this would be like when a coach is pacing on the side of a game, saying, okay, do any substitutions need to be made? How is this going? Are we down any points? Does the strategy need to change? Kind of like watching. Maybe I can make alliteration. Is that? No, it's not alliteration. Let me pause and then try to think of a quick sentence so we could remember. Okay, here it is. Parrots only like cheese. That's how I'm going to be remembering it for tomorrow's test. But planning, organization, leading, controlling. Parrots only like cheese. There you go. If memorization, if that helps. Okay, next. Next 3 slides are different types of, not necessarily managers, but people in an organization with power, I would say. So figurehead is like a symbolic head that doesn't do too much behind the scenes work, but is more so there for the general public. A leader, like we just talked about, is responsible for the motivation and direction of employees, kind of similar to a manager, but the leader, that's like their main thing. They don't do like a lot of controlling. What were our other 2? P and O. Not a lot of planning, not a lot of organization, but mostly the leading. Then liaison, so this maintains a network of outside connections. A monitor receives a wide variety of information and works behind the scenes, as you might guess. Disseminator, so this transmits information received from the outside to members of the organization, and then a spokesperson does the same, but of course to people outside the organization, kind of like the mailman or the messenger. Next is the entrepreneur, so they find opportunities for, the business, the organization, the person. Disturbance handler deals with discipline, and resource allocator makes or approves important decisions. If the company wants to make a big purchase or start on a new project, that's what the resource allocator would do. And then the negotiator represents the organization in negotiations, and that seems like a stressful but fun job. Wow. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see a negotiator at work. Okay, expatriate. So this is patriot, a person who works outside their native country. And so the etymology of this word is how I remember it. Ex meaning out, like an extrovert, like outside focused, rather than inner, like in. So ex is outside, like outside your country, and then patriot kind of stems from the same root word of patriotism, so your own native country. So you're outside your native country and you're working. Globalization. This is the process in which worldwide integration and interdependence are promoted across national borders. That is a mouthful. We'll break it down after we read this meme. If every country could just have the same electrical plug, yeah, that would be great. And Office Space. I love Office Space. But this is basically when countries around the world become more reliant on each other, in simple terms. So a model, this is an abstraction of reality, a simplified representation of some real-world phenomenon, which may seem counterintuitive because I guess these days at least, models, it seems like they're the top percentile, not the realistic world. So that's why I included this meme, just another unrealistic body expectation for women. But a model is just basically taking something in real life and simplifying it into a representation. So inputs. These next three, I believe it's inputs, output. Well, I guess when we could read it. So inputs are variables like personality, group structure, and organizational culture that lead to processes. So in a group project, your input would be your personalities together and what you bring to the table. Okay, processes. So this is the actions of the group, kind of the inner stage. And then the last, outcomes. So this is how the group project actually would turn out, or key factors that are affected by other variables. So stress. I'm including I don't want to miss any terms, but we all know what stress is, of course, a psychological process that occurs in response to environmental pressures. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it could be non-environmental factors too, but okay. That's good to know. Job performance. So this is the total value of a worker's contributions to an organization through behavior over time. Withdrawal behavior. This is a set of actions employees take to separate themselves from the corporation or the organization. So if an employee is unhappy, they would withdraw or distance themselves slowly, usually, rather than just quitting. Productivity. So I love productivity content on YouTube. Oh my gosh, I could watch those videos for days. But this is the combination of effectiveness and efficiency. So I put this archer here because I think of it kind of like archery, effectiveness, I believe would be hitting the target, in the middle. And then efficiency would be you want to, it's good if you hit the target, it's good if you're effective, but you don't want to have to use 20 arrows. Efficiency, maybe 3. And so this is how our textbook defines it. Effectiveness is the degree to which an organization meets the needs of its clients, and then efficiency, the degree to which the organization can achieve it at low cost. So they just focus on the customer and monetary needs, or the monetary side of the organization. So organizational survival. This is the degree to which an organization can grow and exist for a long time. And this can take different strategies. For example, Spirit Halloween, they've been around since I can remember, and they have a pretty good strategy of opening up in October and then closing again. So whatever works, they're surviving. Awesome. Chapter 2 is on diversity. So the first kind of diversity we're going to talk about is surface level diversity. And this is the kind of diversity we normally think of. So external diversity, or on paper. So this has to do with like gender, race, age, not stuff that you would see on the outside. And then deep level diversity refers to like diversity of thought. So this could be like your beliefs, what religion you are, stuff like that, like internal. And then biographical characteristics are the characteristics we talked about in surface level diversity. So like age, race, ethnicity, gender. Gender identity is people's deeply held sense of identification with their own gender. Prejudice is an attitude representing broad, generalized feelings towards a group that maintains the hierarchy between that group and other groups. So prejudice is not a good thing. This mention of hierarchy is like, it usually causes people to like look down on others based on their surface level diversity or biographical features. Okay, implicit bias. So this is prejudice that may be hidden outside one's conscious awareness. So thoughts that you have, you make decisions, but you're not really thinking about it. It's just subconscious, I guess would be the best way to describe it. And then discrimination is basically what we just talked about, but it's conscious. So actions or behaviors that create, maintain, or reinforce some group's advantage over other group members. So disparate impact versus disparate treatment. And so disparate means like, I believe it comes from the etymology of like distance, like creating a gap, like referring to like the hierarchy of an organization. So like when you put others down. So specifically by discrimination. So both are obviously not good, but impact is unintentional, and then treatment is intentional. Okay, microaggressions. So this is subtle exchanges between people that negatively impact those marginalized backgrounds. So this is some examples of microaggressions. Nurse, can you find me a doctor? So this would be a microaggression against her being a doctor. And then, do you speak English? This would be like a racial microaggression. And then, are there any doctors from here? This would also be a racial microaggression. But, these are usually things that are more subtle than discrimination or blatant like racism or sexism. So social categorization, this is a process through which people make sense of others by constructing social categories or characteristics. So it's like putting people in different groups based on what state they're from. I'm just going to do this example because it came to mind, but there are many categories, and this happens like consciously and subconsciously, like putting people into groups. Okay, so stereotyping is judging someone based on one's perception of the group to which that person belongs to. So after this first thing, after social categorization, which I don't think they said it was like an inherently bad thing, but stereotyping can be bad. This is judging someone based on one's perception of the group, so making assumptions about people based on what group you put them in. And so this is just an example from me. I don't mind being stereotyped as a Californian, but just some stereotypes is like love In-N-Out Burger, surfing, everyone lives in Hollywood, stuff like that. So stereotypes, I don't think they're always bad, but they can be bad. But a stereotype threat is the degree to which someone is concerned about being stereotyped. So sticking with my own personal example, being from California, that's not a huge like stereotype threat. I don't really like, even bad stereotypes. It's like, it's kind of funny. Um, but being stereotyped like as a woman, sometimes it's like less enjoyable than being stereotyped as a Californian. So this is like the threat level of what you don't want people to draw conclusions off just based on external like appearances or the surface level diversity like we talked about. Stigma. So this is the negative side. This is what you would call when people draw negative ideas from that stereotyping. So I guess one, again, not that bad. There are actual bad examples, but a stigma, I guess, of like California or off of stereotyping is like materialism or like shallowness. That would be like an example of something like negative. Okay, system justification theory. So this is the theory that group members often accept or rationalize inequity and discrimination, which of course is not a good thing. It needs to be addressed by if you're a manager. Social dominance theory is the theory that prejudice and discrimination are based on a complex hierarchy with one group dominating another and the dominating group enjoying the privilege not afforded to the subordinate group. So this is basically just summarizing everything we just talked about and saying the hierarchy or like the hierarchical ranks that can be formed through an organization. Sometimes the people on top enjoy that privilege, and then of course the people on the bottom suffer from being treated unequally. Intersectionality. So this is the idea that identities interact to form different meanings and experiences. So it's kind of like a loop where, you get your identity and then you interact with others who have different identities, and then that gives you more of an identity because you just pick up different things. Intersectionality. So fault lines. This is the perceived divisions that split groups into two or more subgroups. This can be like based on gender, race, age. And so I like to remember this like in geology of a fault line is referring to like an earthquake when there's like fractures in the rock. So this is like relational or organizational fractures based on different identities, I guess I would say. Okay, so this next couple slides, I believe the next 6 or 7, are going to talk about different concepts that are global management concepts, and every country, I believe, is like ranked on a scale for these. So, and it's very interesting, especially if you're like looking to work internationally. Definitely, I would pay attention to these. So, power distance is a national cultural attribute that describes the extent into which a society accepts that power in institutions and organizations is distributed equally. And so basically what that means is that some cultures like it when power is distributed equally and there's a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of working together and there's not really blurring of lines, or let me restart. Basically, some cultures like for the hierarchical lines to be blurred, and then some like a very clear idea of, okay, this person is in charge and they'll tell me what to do and then I'll do it. And so China, I believe, is one of the highest in power distance. So this means that people feel that there's no problem with hierarchy and they actually prefer it. And I think I actually would like an environment like this, like just, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. Sometimes the ambiguity, I'm stumbling so much, sorry guys. Sometimes the ambiguity, like in group projects or workplaces, is just a little uncomfortable, so I would enjoy this, but it differs for each person and culture. So individualism. This is a national cultural attribute that describes the degree to which people prefer to act as individuals rather than members of groups. So the US is one of the highest here, and I guess we really like our freedom, like our individualism, and I think that's part of the reason why like remote work has taken off so much, because people don't mind really working alone, but I think I would like a good blend. Um, yeah, just trying to relate it to us. I think it's fun and always helps me learn better when I'm like, oh, what would I like? So, what would you like to comment below? No, I'm not one of those YouTubers. Um, Collectivism. So this is a national cultural attribute, like our last couple, that describes a tight social framework in which people expect others to look after them. So this family, this is a Japanese family, and Japan is very high for collectivism. And I remember I went to I took Japanese classes, and then I went to like this Japanese like kind of boarding school, and oh my gosh, before I thought like I didn't really like collectivism. I was like, okay, everybody, I don't, my neighbors are super nice, but, we don't really hang out or, look after each other, quote unquote. We just, like, say hi. But after, like, seeing, like, how much they cared for each other, I was like, oh, that is so sweet. Like, the collectivism, I just think it'd be really cool to live in, like, a place where there's more of a community and, like, you, like, have dinner at your neighbors and your friends, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a social framework where everyone is really, like, looking out for each other and very tight knit. So I thought they were just so nice to me, and it was a really cool experience. But yeah. Okay, so masculinity. This is the extent to which a culture favors traditional masculine work roles of achievement, assertiveness, power, and control. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be a male leader, but I guess just like the stereotypical attributes of a male leader, like the power, the assertiveness, like not being as afraid to like hurt others' feelings, and um, large and in charge, I guess. That would be masculinity. And I think I would like to work in that environment where I really do enjoy, like, just, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like, not too much, going back to the power distance, not too much ambiguity, but, I think a good balance is good too. Okay, so femininity, this is a national cultural attribute that indicates little differentiation between male and female roles. So this is also slightly relating to gender, but kind of less hierarchical structure. It's less about power, more about like collaboratism, group work, relationships. And I enjoy that too, so I think a good balance is nice. I'm losing my voice. Okay, we're almost on chapter 3, and this is the longest chapter. Long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. So long-term is a national cultural attribute that emphasizes the future and persistence. And then short-term orientation emphasizes the past and traditions. I don't know what America is. We do learn and value our like history a lot, but I would guess we're more long-term orientation. I'd guess like a short-term orientation. I don't know. I was gonna say China just because, just from like what I've experienced, like the reverence of elderly people, of course, and the past is very important, but also like the economic and business like future driven would make me think maybe they're long term. I'll get a better example for short term, but you get the point. Okay, cultural tightness and looseness. So this is the degree to which there are clear, pervasive norms in societies and clear understanding of these norms and what happens from deviating from them. I thought this was so funny. When you're socially awkward but still give it a shot. Do you like stuff? It reminded me of from She's the Man. Do you like cheese or do you like Gouda? What's your favorite cheese? But this is basically the idea that some cultures, the social norms are very stringent, and so I would imagine that there's like a lot of small talk, and you usually have a lot of similar conversations. And I prefer definitely loose. I think it's like interesting. I don't really mind when people break those social norms. I love it actually, but I do get it. Like predictability is very comfortable, and good balance is also good for this one. I'd think. Okay, common in-group identity. So this is the idea that bias can be reduced by people of different groups spending a lot of time with each other. And I thought this was just so sweet. Look at these penguins huddling together. I just thought that was cute. Contact hypothesis. So this is the idea that the more you interact with people from different backgrounds, the more discrimination will reduce. And so I thought that was interesting. That's a good idea because a lot of times, you read a lot about problems of discrimination and workplace prejudice, and then you think like, oh, I don't actually know what the solution is. But this is one, I guess, like you get more compassionate when you spend time with others who are different from you, whether like externally or internally. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So cultural diversity culture versus diversity climate. So this is diversity culture is the shared diversity values of an organization, and then climate is the actual diversity among the members. So an institution can say all they want, like, oh, we're diverse, or we have a diverse culture, but the climate is like the real stuff. Tokenism. So I'm sure you've heard of like token blank person and then like fill in the race. So this is not a good thing. This is management hiring people only as a representation to like show diversity and not actually like think of diversity of thought, diversity of surface level diversity, stuff like that. Like, yeah. Chapter 3. Yes. Okay. Job attributes. Attitudes. So, what is an attitude? This is a judgment or evaluative statement about an object, a person, or an event. So, you have attitude towards something. And so the ABCs of attitude are affective, and that deals with emotions, kind of like, your affections. Behavioral, so this is actions, how you behave, and then cognitive, like cognition, like the brain, like how you think. And so examples of this in the workplace, affective would be like, I hate my job. That'd be your emotions towards your job. Behavioral would be like, I'm gonna quit, like that's the actions. And then cognitive would be like, I don't like this job because it's unfair that I'm treated unequally, like you're thinking about it. And let me give a positive example too. Okay, so affective would be like, I love my job. Behavioral, I'm going to be nice to everybody. And then cognitive, I love it because I'm treated well. I just wanted to be a little positive because the next couple, like this next chapter, there's a lot of like stuff that needs to be addressed in the workplace, but it gets a little negative, so I'll try to keep it upbeat. Cognitive dissonance, so this is an incompatibility between one or more attitudes or between behavior and attitudes. So I like this Google definition: the discomfort a person feels when their behavior does not align with their values or beliefs. So an example of this is maybe, I like Disney, but this is just one that came to mind because happiest place on earth. Maybe you're like at Disneyland and you like expect to be really happy, but for some reason you're just like, it's just not your day. Not only would it make you upset because you're already like not having the best time, there would be cognitive dissonance between knowing that you're at the happiest place on earth, but you're not really happy. So like the mental conflict of attitudes is what cognitive dissonance refers to. Organizational identification. So these next couple examples, I thought I'd make it a little personal just to help me remember, and if anyone finds this video, it'll help you too. You can think of an example for yourself. So the extent to which employees define themselves by the same characteristics. So this is, for example, if I were to teach on the Bible, my organizational identification would be high because those are my beliefs and my characteristics that I value. Job involvement. So this is the degree to which a person identifies with a job and actively participates it and considers performance important to self-worth. So how this differentiates, I kind of thought for me, like the perfect example would be like church and soccer. Like soccer, the beliefs of soccer, I don't necessarily identify with, or I guess I don't really play anymore, but you know, it was very important. Like performance was definitely something that I really valued. Doing a good job, it made me feel good. And of course, I actively participated a lot, so this would be job involvement. And then job engagement would be the opposite of that. So you're just running through the motions, you're kind of engaged but not actually involved. So you would like dribble through the cones without even thinking, using no technique. You're not necessarily like not doing something correctly, but it's not being involved. You're not caring about performance. And then employee engagement. This is the degree of enthusiasm that an employee feels towards the job. So internally, are you happy? Are you looking forward to going to work every day? Job satisfaction. This is a positive feeling about one's job resulting from an evaluation of its characteristics. We might have done something like this. It might have been job performance, but this is basically saying, are you happy with your job? And this is similar, but I think it's more like how enthusiastic you are to go to it, and this is like an overall general sense of satisfaction, the perfect word. Psychological empowerment. So this is employees' beliefs in the degree to which they affect their work environment and the meaningfulness of their job. So you can do it. I believe in you. This is basically thinking, am I important to this job? Do I have responsibility? Am I making a good impact? Am I adding meaning to this company? And that's important to think that you're doing something for the job, because agency and competency is definitely tied to job satisfaction, which people don't always think. But yeah, it's good. Perceived organizational support. I don't always ask my employees how they are, but when I do, I walk away before they answer. That is not good. Like, your employees are not going to perceive that you give them support. But this is the degree, to which employees believe an organization values their contribution and their well-being. Okay, the 4 things employees do when working conditions start to worsen. We got some funny memes on this one, y'all. Oh, that keeps popping up. What is here? Okay, exit. So quit! This is dissatisfaction expressed through behavior directed towards leaving the organization. I'm reminded of another meme when it's like, when you have to get your word count on your essay. This is just quitting. I'm trying to win 2 weeks. It's a solution, honestly, and it's not always a bad thing. Voice. So, like it says, voice. This is voicing the dissatisfaction in an attempt to improve the conditions. So this is a very mature and scary thing to do, and doesn't always go well, but it's something you can do when not satisfied with your job. Loyalty. So this is dissatisfaction expressed by passively waiting for conditions to improve. Sitting in your car contemplating quitting your job for the 12th time this month. And then neglect. So this is dissatisfaction expressed through allowing conditions to worsen. I'm not quitting, I'm just not going to go to work anymore. Neglect is probably, I would say, the worst thing. Because at least quitting, like, the manager knows, like, okay, I gotta find someone new, but neglect, that's not good. Counterproductive work behavior. So I guess this would be worse than neglect. Actions that actively damage the organization. So, being late, stealing from work, that's worse than neglect. Okay, I take it back. Chapter 4, one more chapter. Okay, that's so great. Emotions and moods. I just got in a good emotion. It would be an emotion, not a mood. I got a good emotion from that. Happy because we have one more chapter. So, affect. This is a term used to describe a broad range of feelings the most experienced. So this includes emotion and moods, which we'll talk about in a second. This is a disposition, like generally, like how do you generally feel? And there's a positive effect and a negative effect. Pretty self-explanatory. Are you generally like happy or upset? So emotions. Emotions. I was like, duh, emotions. I might not even include this slide. Everybody knows. But the difference between emotion and mood is very interesting. Emotions are more intense and short-lived and are often caused by a specific event. So if it's your birthday, your emotions might be happy, but it's not like your overall general mood. It's just an emotion. So I'm feeling happy, content, excited. True. Amen. So a mood is a feeling that tends to be longer, and the reason you might have a mood, you're just a generally happy person, and that's what it means when like it lacks contextual stimulus. It's not based on like general events. Okay, so this is just a quick pie chart. I love a good graph, so I thought I'd include it. A high negative effect, this is like being like super nervous or tense. Low, just kind of bored, kind of just like a mid-mile fatigue. Low negative effect. Oh no, I almost just explained the graph wrong. Sorry, guys. Low negative effect. Oh, of course. Okay, cool. So it's low in the negative area, so you're relaxed. Okay, that makes sense. Low positive effect. I'm sorry. Forget that. Low positive effect would be like boredom and fatigue and sadness and depression, because it's low on positive, but it's not highly negative because the effect, the emotions, the mood is not high. And then high positive effect, you're excited, happy. Okay, that's really interesting. I was like, this is so self-explanatory, and then I explained it wrong. Sorry. So moral emotions. This is emotions that have moral implications. So for example, if you see someone stealing, you may be uncomfortable or stressed, and that is specifically tied to the fact that you think that it is not a moral decision they're making. Positivity offset. So this is the tendency for people to generally feel happy, and I find that usually like it's highest in kids. Like at input 0, I feel like most kids are generally happy, but yeah, this is a good thing. It's a difficult wrestle, but when you get into those stages, it's like smooth sailing where you're just like, nothing crazy has to happen for you to be happy, and even when a little bad does, it's all right. So I like it when you get into those good routines. Affect intensity. So this is the idea that individuals feel the strength of their emotions at different levels. And so this is so interesting. Oh my goodness. Like, I guess to open up a little, or I don't know, a goal in life is to like have as high, affect intensity for happiness as possible. Like, that's awesome. I really do believe you can like build it up. And so an example of this would be like a reaction to a grade. Someone might be super, super happy, and someone might be like, oh, that's cool, and then someone might be indifferent towards it. It's really interesting concept. I'd love to learn about that more. Illusory correlation. So this is the tendency of people to associate two events together when in reality they have nothing to do with each other. And I believe this etymology comes from like illusionary, like illusion, like just like kind of something that's fake, that just looks that way. And then correlation, of course, it comes from like correlate, so to think of two things together. So an example of this is like if your boss is one day in a good mood, then you also happen to get news that you have a raise, you might correlate that, oh my gosh, I got a good a raise because my boss is in a good mood, when it might have been a coincidence and it happened on the same day. But this is an example of an illusory correlation. Okay, so felt emotions versus displayed emotions. This is an individual's actual emotions. That's the felt emotions. And then the displayed emotions, as you might guess, are the emotions that are considered appropriate to display on the job. So, this is so funny. when they ask you to show you the new employee around, this is where I come to cry. Cool. So of course you cannot, or it's not good to cry too much at work, and display those emotions. So this would be felt emotions, and then outside you display a happy customer service face. Surface acting versus deep acting. This is similar. It more has to do with like your beliefs. So surface acting is changing the way you behave when you like interact with people, and then deep acting is changing the way you think when like so surface acting, if you dislike your job but you still act like you like it, that's surface acting. But deep acting would be like convincing yourself like, I do like this job, like I'm lucky and I'm grateful, which is sounds like a good thing, but it also can be a little burdensome to like push both down too much. This gap is called emotional dissonance. So it's the inconsistencies between emotions that people feel and the ones that they project. And so if the gap is too big, it becomes unhealthy. So you don't want to do that too much. Affective events theory. So this is a model that suggests that workplace events cause emotional reactions on part of the employees, and then that in turn influences the workplace attitudes and behaviors. And this is actually a really important theory. It kind of is talking about like the fact that workplaces have an effect on people's emotions, and then those like emotions and those people have an effect on the workplace. And so I was reading in the book, and it was talking about things that affect emotions and moods, and it was talking about like moods like sleep, diet, exercise. Those all of course have an effect on our emotions and moods. But this theory I like because it gives like some responsibility to the workplace. Like a boss can't just be like, why are you guys so grumpy all the time? Don't bring your attitude to work. This is a theory that the workplace causes emotions, and then the emotions influence the workplace. So kind of like a cycle. Okay, so emotional intelligence. This is the ability to detect and manage emotional cues and information. So, yes, I think I have good people skills. What kind of idiot question is that? This is not very emotionally intelligent. Emotional regulation. So this is the process of identifying and modifying felt emotions. So I thought this was kind of funny too. And then emotional cognition. So this is the process by which people's emotions are caused by the emotion of others. Cognition, that doesn't make sense. Contagion, okay. Like contagious. Okay, cool. So this is the idea, a good mood is contagious. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's it. We went a long time. Thank you for everybody who watched. What am I talking about? If this video finds anybody, it's mostly for to help me review, but if it is helpful to you, I'm so happy, and I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, bye.